Good afternoon, Coach. We'll get started with Zach and then Jamie.
Hey, good afternoon, Doug. Lane Johnson and DeSean Jackson, do you have updates on their status?
Yeah, so DeSean, has the lower body. He's going to miss significant time, with us. Lane, again, is going to be a little more day to day. We'll see where he's at next week on him, but both of them were injured in the football game, and we just gotta see where Lane's at next week, and then of course DeSean's going to miss some time.
Go ahead, Jamie, and then Les.
Doug, now that you've looked at the tape from last night, what kind of confidence does it give you that you guys are where you're at? And obviously, there was some stuff that I'm sure you didn't like in the game, but a win is a win in the division. So where do you sit now that you've seen your team at 2-4-1?
Well, sitting on top of the NFC East obviously is a good thing. The fact that we were 2 scores down and came back and won this football game, that's a huge positive with the amount of injuries that have piled up on offense. It just shows the resiliency of the entire football team, really. We won the turnover battle yesterday. We talk about that quite a bit, with the 3 defensive takeaways was really good to see. And just there were some really good individual efforts yesterday. I think a Richard Rogers stepping in for Zach and the tight ends. He had a really good football game, and even the running backs, with Boston and Corey and Jason Huntley stepping in and really doing a nice job. In the run game, protections. Carson played tough again, played physical. We asked him to run the ball a couple of times. He did that. So there's a lot of really good takeaways from this football game, and the fact that we came back and won the game was probably the biggest.
Les and then Tim.
Hi, Doug. Certainly a wonderful comeback in the fourth quarter, but you alluded last night to some decisions and throws that Carson would like to have back. And I guess I'm asking, what would you say to people that look at that second quarter interception and think, how in the world can a franchise quarterback in his 5th season make that decision, make that throw in that situation, which sort of turned the game around, it looked like?
Well, he knows, we know, I think everybody knows that we can't do that. It's unacceptable for us, and and Carson feels the same way. And in situations like that, you throw it away. You throw it in the first row of the stands, and it's just a mistake that we'd like to have back, and we just can't do that. We're take away the kneel down at the end of the game, 3 of 7 in the red zone. The fact that we were in the red zone 7 times is awesome, right? I mean, it goes back to Jamie's questions about the positives. You're in the red zone 7 times. You need to come away with points, and that's a correlation to not only scoring but to helping you win football games. So that's a positive. We have to be better down there, and we know that turnovers, penalties, sacks, things of that nature, take us away from points and things that we gotta get better at.
Tim and then Mike Sealski.
Doug, do you have any good news on the injury front for you? Do you have any of these reinforcements coming soon? Dallas Goedert, Alshon Jeffrey, Miles Sanders, anybody pop up that could be available for you soon?
Obviously these guys are all rehabbing and working today, working through the weekend, and we'll see where guys like Dallas and Miles, Alshon, we'll see where they're at, beginning and really the middle of next week. I can probably say that guys like TJ Edwards, is close to returning. Rudy Ford is close to returning. Jason Peters is kind of in that boat. But, we've got a few days here to really get these guys healthy even more. But I'm hoping that, we get a few of these guys back next week going into the Cowboy game.
Mike and then Dave.
Hey, Doug, I know you addressed Jake's miss last night after the game, but I'm curious if a kicker's performance ever starts to get to the point where you factor it into your play calling, in the red zone or even beyond that within the 30-yard line. Is how he's performing at a given point in the season, does that factor into whether you might go for it on 4th down or something like that?
Yeah, no, I've got so much confidence in Jake. He's made so many big kicks for us, and, I've got a lot of confidence in him and really the operation, from snap, hold to kick. It doesn't affect, my decision one way or the other to put him out there or not put him out there. It's just we just got to keep working through it, and he's a professional. He knows that he needs to make those. We need to be better there, and he needs to make those kicks. But it doesn't it doesn't challenge my confidence one way or the other. I'm going to continue to put him out there, and he's going to continue to make those kicks for us.
Dave and then Jeff.
Hey, Doug, as a play caller, when you have so many new guys in and out of the offensive lineup, is it challenging to figure out what your strengths are and which plays you should be running with the current group you have on the field?
It can be a challenge at times, because the thing is, with this many, new players, new starters or guys in the lineup, you don't get much time on task. You don't get many reps during the week with these guys, and so some continuity and some timing in the passing game, particularly, can lack just a little bit. But that's why we practice, right? That's why we do the things we do during the week to prepare and sometimes keep game plans a little bit simpler or smaller, so these guys don't have to think quite as much and they can just focus on a handful of plays. And but we do our best to put guys in position and utilize their strengths so they don't have to learn, two different positions, for instance. They can just learn one spot, for that week. But guys are doing a great job. They're making plays. We saw it again yesterday, late in the game. With some of these guys that are making plays for us and helping us win that game yesterday.
Jeff and then Kristen.
Doug, Carson's numbers in the fourth quarter versus the first three quarters are pretty significant, especially the last 2 weeks. And it's not just the numbers. If you watch him play, it just seems like he's playing more freely in the fourth quarter when you guys have been trailing. Have you guys dug deeper into that as to why you feel like he's been more productive playing almost from behind versus ahead or earlier in the game?
It's something that we'll take a look at that here in the next couple of days. We got a little time over the weekend to look into everything, and quite honestly, it's good to see your quarterback being able to put the team on his back and lead a comeback like he did in this game, and obviously the Baltimore game is another one where we made the comeback and put ourselves in a position to tie that football game. And that part's good to see, but we don't ever want to, try to, at least minimize being down 2 scores late in the fourth quarter and have to come back every week. Those are hard to overcome. But, that's one of the things you love about Carson. He's constantly fighting with his guys and battling with his guys out there. And he wants the ball in his hands, at the end of the game. And, the other thing is when we're down 2 scores like that, you go right into your 2-minute offense. And, you saw you saw the play to Hightower. You saw the play to, Richard Rodgers, the Richard Rodgers play was a scramble, big play in the game. But that's who Carson is. And he's a constant competitor and wants to win.
Kristen and then Ruben.
Hey, Doug, you touched on this already, but on those 4 drives, you guys weren't able to convert in the red zone. I mean, after watching that tape, where do you feel like those breakdowns were coming from? And kind of to Dave's question, does that come from the young personnel that you guys were working with in those situations that maybe they hadn't been in before?
The breakdowns were really execution, offensively. Whether it was offensive line mistakes, receiver mistakes, quarterback mistakes, everybody had a hand in the breakdowns, and it's really something that I think as coaches, with the amount of new faces, it's really a teachable moment for us to be able to show guys. I mean, there's a sense of urgency, obviously, from the standpoint of playing faster in the red zone. We know the ball comes out of the quarterback's hand a little bit faster. The field gets condensed a little bit more. All of that. Can't have penalties down there. Can't take sacks down there, and then obviously can't miss kicks down there. So those are all things that we can control and we can fix, and it's all teachable and correctable.
Ruben and then Bo.
Hey, Doug, how you doing? A couple semi-related offensive line questions. You mentioned JP might be close to getting back. Would he automatically go to left tackle, or would you consider maybe moving him back to guard since you're a little more unsettled at guard and Jordan has done a nice job at left tackle for the most part? And also along those lines, you have Prince Tega on the practice squad. Just wondering how he's coming along. Obviously, you have Brett Toth up, and he hasn't done a lot of pass blocking in his career. So what are your options there?
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. We have options, right? And Prince is still growing with the offense and doing a nice job and getting better every week. And Brett is, obviously been with us now a week or two, and he's getting better. He'll get better this next week. With a full week of practice. I think when JP comes back, I think that's a conversation that we'll have internally to see what's best for the football team. Whether it's he and Herbig and Sua Opeta now, guard rotation, or is it JP back at left tackle? Those are just options that we have, which we really haven't had many options here lately, and it gives us I think the best availability for these players, for our offensive line moving forward.
Oh, and then Chris.
Hey, Doug, how did Opeta play, since you mentioned him? And then also, as you approach the trade deadline, is there anywhere where you would maybe like to get some help for this roster?
Sua played okay. There were a couple times he got bull rushed, and I think just the first time starters, especially at the offensive line, it takes a little bit to settle in and understand. I think pass rush lanes, pass rush games, stunts, things of that nature by the defense. And he did some nice things. Again, wasn't perfect, but something to build on and continue his growth there. And then as far as the trade deadline, obviously we know that's coming up, but that's something that Howie and I will discuss and look at the roster, but haven't made any decisions there yet.
Go ahead, Chris, and then John McMullen.
Hey, Doug. Having seen the tape now on the DeSean Jackson injury, do you feel as if either of the hits that the Giants players made were dirty in your estimation?
Well, it's not my place publicly to comment on that, and it's a play that will turn into the league to see if there'll be any. Obviously they flagged it and they got it. The officials got it right. Obviously in the game, it's unfortunate because of the injury, but that's something that's in the league's hands, and if there's any ramifications, it'll come down from them. But not my place to comment on that.
We have time for two more, so John and then Rob.
Hey, Doug, just curious what you saw from Richard Rodgers after watching the tape and the game he played, and also any update on Hassan Ridgeway? He also had to leave the game.
Hassan Ridgeway actually has a bicep injury that he's going to miss the rest of the season for us. It's unfortunate, with him. It's a significant injury. And something that I'm obviously disappointed in that because he was a big part of the tackle rotation. So he's going to miss, obviously, and we're going to miss him. Richard Rodgers, this guy, I tell you what, he played tough, physical. He played fast. Made some really good catches. Not only some short, intermediate catches, but the one deep throw there in the fourth quarter to help us win that football game. I'm really glad Richard's on the team. He's a good complementary piece when both Zach and obviously Dallas are out there. But he filled in really well, and expect more of that. Hopefully moving forward with him in that position.
Go ahead, Rob.
Doug, Carson was compared to Brett Favre coming out of school, that gunslinger mentality. Obviously, you're familiar with Brett. He seems to be playing more like Brett now than he did his first 4 seasons. Would you agree with that? He's trusting himself to make throws that maybe sometimes he shouldn't make, but at the same time, he's making big plays, extending plays, creating plays. Are you seeing more of Brett and Carson, and how do you feel about it? Because it may increase the risk at times, but the reward could be greater.
Well, that was always the thing with Brett. He always, the reward was definitely greater. But you knew there was going to be some risk involved. And you know, Carson obviously has the ability to do that. He's got the arm strength. He's got the mobility to extend plays, you know, with his legs. And I would think that, you know, the one thing that we're seeing with Carson now is in the same thing I saw with Brett, is that physical toughness, you know, being able to stand in the pocket and take some hits and, you know, bounce up and do it again. And so to me, that's kind of some of the similarities there. But, you know, Carson is solid. He's getting better every week. He, you know, again, had a great comeback yesterday for us. And that's some of the same things that obviously I saw in Brett when I played with him.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.